Gotta have some Dane in there.
Oh, you know what the issue was? Ronald Matarrita wasn't in there either. He's hurt.
You're missing a lot of Tommy Mack in there too.
All right, enough. I'm gonna put in
The people don't want to hear this. They're here for the Designated Players podcast.
Steven Moreira. Maybe he still plays. I don't know.
Why don't you have
That's
like the 17-year-old from Red Bull?
Stop it. I'm not doing this. What's up? We are in the middle of setting our lineups for the first time in probably 10 weeks. I mean,
Yeah,
all season.
months at the
MLS
least.
fantasy. We're on a kick. Welcome back to season 3, episode 40, the Designated Players Podcast. Wow, we're killing it.
40 episodes in this season. Is that our most in a season ever?
No, I think we did 44 in season 1.
No,
But
we're gonna clear
we'll,
that.
we'll clear it, no problem. We are picking up where we were leaving off last time, and we are doing just a recap of the secondary transfer window. We've got 13 more teams to cover, maybe 14. I thought I might have missed one, but alas. If you don't know what we're doing, check out last week's episode. It's very simple. We're going to talk about who came in, who went out, give it a pass or a fail, and then at the very end, maybe we'll give like a top 3, best of the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, this team
Whoa,
loves
whoa, whoa,
playing.
whoa, whoa.
Oh man, how could I forget?
Come on,
I've got them all
man.
here. I show them off every week. I forget about it. Scarf of the week. What are we rocking?
Well, first of all, we got the hat on today for Tommy
No,
T's
no, no.
Tricky Blues.
We didn't ask about
Huge win today
Romania.
over Leicester. We are recording this on Saturday afternoon, so this is just following the first round of games. So
Oh,
of course,
very Euros.
if I'm gonna bring out one of my favorite teams, I'm gonna bring out the other as well. Especially because we are going to talk about them today. So got the Atlanta scarf, the Chelsea hat.
That's very Euro snob of you, bringing the Premier League into this MLS safe space. How dare you?
Says the one with a Roma Bayern scarf behind him. Everton.
Everton.
That's all right. Everton don't count because they'll be in the championship.
Everton are getting relegated to MLS this year. I'm convinced.
Relegated to MLS.
Yeah. This year, this scarf that I've got is another new one, and I will get to have one in Red Bull colors after this year. 2019 Seattle Sounders
Oh,
MLS.
that's a nice one. I kind of like that.
I liked it. Yeah, so I thought it'd be different on the others, like they would have Seattle on the other side, but MLS Cup.
Gotta get the branding.
Got to get the branding. I like
Someone's got to pay for the Gam Tam.
it. That's right. That is. Yeah, I like it. It's one of my new ones, so I figured I'd break it out. But let's just run into it because we went relatively long last time, so we should just jump right into it.
Oh, I'm already ready to distract you because I do have a question for you.
Jesus, goodness me.
What's the green scarf below Inter Miami?
Ah, that is Red Bull 2.
Really? Why is it green?
Celtic.
Oh, okay. I thought it was legitimately Red Bull too.
No, I need a Red Bull 2 scarf though. I'll look into it.
Okay, now we can start.
Okay, this team loves playing players out of position.
DC United.
No, I thought you were going to say 2014 U.S. Men's National Team. That would have been straight to my heart. San Jose. San Jose. In comes Cruz Medina, homegrown player. In comes Carlos Acapo on a free, and they've loaned in defender Rodriguez on loan from Gremio. Chofis' loan expired, so he is gone. Francisco Calvo transferred to Konyaspor, and Marcos Lopez transferred permanently to Feyenoord. Some great business going out for the Earthquakes. Some questionable ones coming in. What are your thoughts?
I don't really feel like this team got better. It's like I almost wonder if they had the right manager, if there's enough talent on this team that they could be good. Like Jabo starting to really make a name for himself this season. He's scoring a lot of goals. Obviously, Christian Espinosa is very talented. You have Jan Gregers, of course, USMNT backbone Jackson Ewell is on this team. I don't know if they have the star power to necessarily like the difference maker for this team to be like successful, and or to be like a top team. And I don't think they brought anybody in during this window that would do that. It just feels like if I look at the names that went out versus the names that came in, I honestly, maybe I'm wrong here. I mean, totally correct me if I'm wrong, but it just feels like they got worse.
This goes back to what we were talking about last episode. For those of you who haven't heard it, go watch it. Short term, not great. However, the money that they're getting from the Lopez sale and the Calvo sale are hopefully going to be properly reinvested. If it is reinvested, this is a win of a win.
Hopefully. That's a big hopeful for this team.
It's a big hopefully, you're right. But you got Marcos Lopez out the door for it was a 7-figure. I don't know if it was 1 or 2, but I thought it was about $2 million for him, plus the Calvo sale, which was $500,000 or whatever. That money can be reinvested really well for this team. Given a proper manager, you might find some success. This team's season was over a long time ago.
It was over the minute they played Jackson Ewell at center back.
Correct. They are 9 games out of 9 points out of a playoff spot, 3 games, with 9 to go, give or take. I don't see them turning it around. I think they have kind of washed and said, okay, Marcos Lopez, Francisco Calvo, you guys can go. We'll reinvest the money next season. Currently, it's a loss for me, but depending on how they reinvest that money, I can come back to me in a year and a half, 2 years, and we'll talk about if it's a win or loss.
Yeah, I got to go with lose until they prove me wrong, because I just don't think San Jose has the track record to make me believe that they will like properly invest this money.
We shall see. We shall see. I do believe they've got a designated player spot or 2 open.
Yeah, I'm not sure who would be taking them up right now.
Let's see. There we are. Friends in San Jose. Jamiro Montero and Christian Espinoza take up those spots. Trophies Lopez was, and now he's gone. So they do have a spot to fill. That money can be used there. So I'd expect
they need to buy down one of those 2 to like a TAM deal. Like,
yes,
open up another DP spot and then go sign 2 difference makers. And I genuinely think this team would be like competitive if they did that.
Yep, and I'm wondering if they still have their U22 player available too. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to do some more research, but there's a lot of reinvestment that can come into this squad, and I think that they will do so. I wouldn't be shocked to see them go full MLS 4.0 next year and just buy a bunch of really good attackers and hope for the best with Jackson Ewell at center.
Well, they brought in Rodriguez and they have Nathan already, so they should be good at center back.
The Rodriguez is a loan to my knowledge.
Yeah, but I would assume if he pans out, they would just buy him.
Again,
obviously, like
big assumption, right?
True, fair enough.
So again, it'll be interesting to see how this summer goes for them, how they reinvest that money. I think they've kind of accepted that the season's done and dusted. It's time to reinvest and focus.
Yep.
The best team in Texas.
Dallas.
FC Dallas. Great first year for them. I mean, coming in as a brand new franchise, never playing in MLS before.
They're doing big things.
Big things for this team.
They're really making Charlotte look bad, honestly, as an expansion team.
For our first time viewers, it's a joke. We get it.
Obviously, it's a joke. They can put it together. We obviously don't think Dallas is an expansion team. Or do we? Or do we?
Exactly. Dallas currently sitting just about 5th place, 4th place. Where are we? 3rd place. Excuse me. Sorry. Massively behind the curve for LAFC and Austin, but still in a very comfortable spot to make the playoffs and have a home game this year. They brought in a defender in Joshua Quiñones from Ecuadorian club Barcelona, the one that can actually register players. To Thomas Robert will come back. His loan will end, and they also brought in USMNT GOAT Sebastian Lletget for the midfield, while saying goodbye to fan favorite player who nobody knew was here until about 3 months ago, Slavoj Shone. I like the addition for Lletget. I think Shone was showing some potential, but he went back to Hungary. They've got Jesus Ferreira, who is doing very, very well in that space, scoring tons of goals. They got Riola, they got Velasco, excuse me. Lletget will shore up that midfield. Probably could have done with some center back depth, but I'm going to give this one a win. I think they didn't do too much to break up a good thing, and they're going to go forward and do okay.
Yeah, I feel like I was a bit too harsh on teams yesterday when we were recording. So first half of the episode. And I feel like I do feel like on paper this team is like very strong. So I don't think there was like a ton to fix up. I think they probably could have boosted the midfield a little bit, which is what they did. They brought in Sebastian Lletget. I do think that's like, say what you want about Sebastian Lletget. We joke about him all the time, but from an MLS perspective, he's a very solid player to bring in. I wish I'm not in love with the defense, but it's certainly like very, very solid defense. I mean, they have had a strong year defensively. So I guess I can't complain that much. Actually, they've been lacking in the goal scoring is what it looks like, which is surprising to me. So I think Jesus Ferreira needed some help, but I do believe that Paul Arriola, Sebastian Lletget, Alan Velasco, the potential's there for people to help out Ferreira. So I kind of agree with you. I don't think you needed to change too much with this team, but adding in Sebastian Lletget is, I think, only going to help them. So I will also call it a win.
Yeah, they did address the center back with Quinones, but it is only a loan. Would have liked to see something a little bit more long term. The left back spot, they need some depth there. Our good friend Marco Farfan is the only one out there. Their right backs are okay. D mids are good. Sebastian Lletget adds a good balance there. Paxton Pomykal still in the attacking mid. Velasco, Paul Arriola, Hyder Obrian, Jesus Ferreira, and then Franco Jara every once in a while as well. The squad has a good balance to it. I mean, you could have depth here and there, but I don't think there was too much to change. They didn't blow it up. I think it's a good move. I think it's a good window.
Is Franco Jara still on a DP contract?
To my knowledge, I don't think so, but when I double check,
I'm trying to think about what they got available. I think is Ferreira on a DP contract
he's
now?
still no. They have no. Yeah, Ferreira, Jara, and Velasco are your designated players. So you're looking at a team that doesn't have an open spot. So again, very good window in that sense as well for getting Lletget in here.
They need to either buy down Franco Jara or they need to sell him because that's a DP spot they need back. Like imagine just like I'm not sure where exactly you'd use it. I'm not in love with using a DP spot on a defender, but it may be like an attacking mid or something. Just like add one more piece there. I think this team is competing with LAFC and Austin.
Interesting.
Just my take.
I don't
Maybe
know.
I'm too high on them. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if they're competing with those guys, but I think they're definitely competing better.
I think this team is like very strong on paper. I mean, they have been underperforming in terms of goals. They only have 39 this season, which is like average for the West. But they're clearly an above average team. I mean, they're sitting third. So they can like figure that out, kind of like Austin's figured it out this season. I legitimately think they'd be competing with LAFC and Austin.
Yeah, you've got lots of 1 goal, 0 goal games from them that if you turned into 2 goal, 3 goal games, you're
Yeah.
swinging there. I get that.
Which feels weird because I feel like all I hear is about Jesus Ferreira scoring, but he must just be the only person scoring.
Let's take a look at some squad stats here. Yeah, in terms of goals, Jesus got 15. Polariello's got 9. Franco Jara's next up with 5. Then 4, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. So yeah, not a ton of disparity in the goal scoring for sure.
They need Velasco to start scoring some more goals, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he'll get there. I think he needs again.
Yeah, I think he'll get there too. He's shown
adjustment.
flashes that he's got good potential for this league.
Yeah, no, and I think he's been a good addition. Just gotta go ahead and get there. Yeah, I like what they did here. Didn't break up too much. Strengthened some areas. I'm gonna give it a win.
Yeah, me too.
Very good. Worst team in the league.
Worst team in the DC United.
Atlanta United. Good try.
DC is the worst team in the league, are they not?
No, because Atlanta exists.
Whatever you say.
All righty, let's talk about it. Ronald Cisneros, Rocos Rios Novos, both in on loan. Coutinho, Porata, Aiden McFadden, and Edwin Mosquera in. Bobby Shuttleworth retires. Tyler Wolf gets sent out. And friend of the pod, Jake Mulroney, traded to Orlando. I'll let you take over here. What are your thoughts on the window from them?
I do have an analogy for Atlanta's window, but before I get into that, I just did want to say that we added Cisneros and Rios Novo, even though they were a bit earlier signings in the year, but I don't think we had the chance to talk about them. I don't remember if we did or didn't. So I left them on there just in case we didn't, just to have an opportunity to talk about them. But my analogy for this window for Atlanta United is picture Atlanta United as a ship, right? There are currently holes in this ship, and the ship is sinking. I feel like this window was they are aware of where the holes are on the ship. They know where the holes are, but they're like patching up the holes with duct tape. Like it's not going to fix the problem, but you know where the issues are. Like clearly they are making attempts to fill those holes that we have in the team by bringing in Purata and Godinho in goal and in center back, which is where I think the biggest holes are for the team right now, especially because Miles Robinson is hurt and Guzan is hurt. I just don't. I worry that these are signings to just try to patch the holes for this season, and they're not like thinking about how would these signings fit in beyond this season, because we still are gonna have to like restart again next season, and it just feels like at this moment this team just feels like a culmination of talented players who just can't play together. And I worry that this transfer window is the same thing. We're just adding more players who can't play together just to try to like fill the holes and the problems that we have right now.
This window is, I agree. But the way I see it is less covering up holes with duct tape and just covering up cuts with band-aids. You're just stopping the bleeding of the injury-filled year that you've had with short-term problems that maybe you can make a run. You've got, I'm reading some notes here. Porata and Godinho are both just on contract till the end of the year. My guess is if they don't really like to show that they're head above heels everybody else, they're probably gone by the end of the year. Mosquera is going to come in and be your 22 signing. He's going to stay around. Aiden McFadden has been okay as a right back, right? Filling in for the injured Brooks Lennon when he was there. These guys aren't here to solve the problem today. They are here to maybe give you a shot at pushing and doing a late season push, right? You guys sit currently in 13th place, but really you're only 5 points out, right? You go on a late season run, you sneak into 6-7, and you can consider it a good year. Next season, you're getting all these. Miles Robinson's coming back. Ozzy might not come back. Brad, I think, made the announcement he will come back. Is that correct?
Not sure, but I haven't heard anything on retirement. So
right, I thought that was that big announcement at one point.
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember what that announcement was. They kind of like played like a little trailer to like hype
Yeah,
it
they
up
were
or
like
whatever.
hinting at something
You
big.
sent it to me. You were like, "Oh, I think they're hinting that he's gonna retire."
Yeah. But listen, right? These guys are guys who are going to come back and instantly make your team better. So you're going to get better next year simply because you're having your injuries. So you don't need to go out and sign the world. You just need to give yourself a shot, right? So I don't mind this at all. Um,
They gotta figure out a way to get these guys to play together. I see talk on Twitter all the time about this team because they have so many big money, talented players who just like cannot figure out how to play together. Like this team has Josef, Luis Arujo, Thiago Almada, Marcelino Moreno, even Cisneros has shown like really good signs so far this season. And yet this team just like you would think a team with all these guys on the roster, like all on the field playing at the same time, they'd be scoring like 15 goals a game. But they just can't piece it together. And I know for like a lot of the season, guys were like in and out like all the time because of injuries and stuff. So it was probably hard to build chemistry. But it's just they can't seem to figure it out. And I don't know if it's like we need an off season for them to like figure it out, get the chemistry, or if it's just like these guys just can't play together. What are your
yeah,
thoughts on that? How do you fix this issue?
there might be one too many big egos in the locker room, right? Everybody who wants to be the guy instead of being the group, right? It might mean that you got to knock one of those guys out, whether it be intra league or a full transfer. That might be one way to do it because you've tried with all these, your first year was great with Yosef and Barco and Almiron because they bought in and worked together as a group. They knew that if one succeeded, they would only succeed when they all succeeded, right? Here, it seems like it's a lot of people who say, I'm going to be good, and you guys will just be there. And you've got four of those, and now you've got a split locker room. So it might mean you move on from one.
Do you think some of this is a Pineda issue? Like, do you think Tata Martino was able to just command the locker room better, and that's why they were able to click better?
I
Or
think
is it like a Pineda issue? Like, I guess is this potentially a Pineda issue, or is this like a player issue? Because I do think like the type of player we have now is different from like a Miguel Almiron. Like Almiron seems like a very selfless player. Like would be fine watching Josef score bags and bags of goals if the team was doing well. I don't know if I see that with the players we have currently, but I also don't know if maybe they have that in them and Pineda's just not setting them up for success.
listen, Tata Martino was a manager of Barcelona in peak Barcelona. Then he managed Argentina at peak Argentina. That guy walks into a room and you listen. Then you've got Gonzalo Pineda, who
He was an assistant for
was
peak
an
Seattle, I would
assistant,
say.
an assistant for Seattle, and then here he played for the Mexican national team. He played for a bunch of teams in Mexico. Played for Seattle, but he doesn't have the resume that Tata does. So yes, he was able to command a better locker room simply because of who he was. That being said, if you're a professional, you can step in and listen to anybody and learn something. That's just my 2 cents. But yeah, it might be one too many egos in the locker room he's got to move on from. But we'll see what happens in the window. I think they've done. I don't think it's a loss. I'm going to mark it as a win simply because they technically got better. Right, they filled the injury holes that they needed to fill. But it's not like this was a, oh my god, what an amazing, whatever. This was just something they had to do.
I'm grateful for the depth that we seem to be building. I'm totally fine with the take a shot on these guys, see who sticks for next year. I'm just still a little worried. I'm still a little worried about how this team's going to shape up for next year. But I don't think we have what we need right now to push to make a playoff push. And we can't seem to like make things stick. But we'll see what happens. Like you said, we're only 5 points or so out. So a very good late season push and we're in the playoffs, which
Yeah,
would be
you
wild.
guys aren't out of it at all. You guys are not out of it in the slightest because MLS is fun.
Yeah,
But
but my issue is that we have one win in the last 2, 4, 7 games. Like our run of form is just not good.
maybe, but I have seen crazier things happen.
True. I mean, who knows? I'm
True.
hoping. I I guess I'd call the window a win. Like I think I like what they're doing. I don't know. I don't know what to I want to call it a loss, but I think I'm just being too harsh on the team.
You're a harsh guy. Let's move on.
Okay.
This team doesn't believe in rules until they get a slap on the wrist.
Oh, Inter Miami, obviously.
Inter Miami.
They probably still
Indiana
don't believe in rules.
Indiana Vasilov has had his loan extended. Quarantine Jean, we spoke about in one of our other windows, as well as Alejandro Pozuelo. Out is Mo Adams, Julian Carranza, Clement Diop, Jairo Quinteros, and Matthias Pellegrini. The team got better. The players that they lost are big names, right? Pellegrini, Carranza, part of that old regime, but they weren't playing any. They brought in a striker. They increased the loan of a player who's been relatively okay for them, and they brought in one of the best playmakers in MLS over the last 3 years. Good window. It's a win. And you can start to see there's a turnover from that old way of doing things into, okay, let's actually have an idea of what we're doing, who we're going to get. And they don't need to be the biggest, flashiest signings. They just need to do the job, right? And we talked about that in our last episode. I think it's a win, and you can actually see their results are showing that they've done well this offseason so far.
Yes, I agree with you. I do think this window is a win, but I will say that I think that they have been overplaying based on how their performance has actually been. Because if you look at it, they've got the same goals for, same goals against as Charlotte, and yet they're 4 spots higher than Charlotte. So to me, that's just telling me that they find ways to win in tight games, and when they lose bad.
That's a
Which is
really good
fine.
observation.
Which is fine. Like that's what you need to make the playoffs. Then, by all means, but I just don't know if that's like you got to still be willing. You got to still be able to carry that type of performance into the rest of the season because you're only barely on the cusp of the playoffs right now. And you could eat like there are strong teams below you that are going to be making hard pushes. Columbus is going to make a hard push. New England's going to make a hard push. Toronto's going to make a hard push. It is going to be
Chicago's going to make a hard push.
Yeah, I mean Atlanta could make a hard push, just like we talked about. Like it could be very tough to keep that spot, especially when you're sitting on literally the second joint worst goal difference in the Eastern Conference, which is wild to me. They're sitting 6th in the playoffs with the second worst goal difference in the Eastern Conference.
I think it's even more scary / impressive that DC United is minus 27. Everybody else is no worse than -8, and DC is just like, what's up? Hold my beat.
Yeah, they're fully resetting for Wayne.
Unbelievable. No, completely agree with everything you said there. It's a win, right? This team is a very they're in a tough spot because there's going to be a lot of people chasing them, but they're in a good spot for where they were a year and a half.
Any opportunity to see Gonzalo Higuain play less is a win for me.
I'm all for it. Here we go. Winners from one of last night's games.
Well, it's not LAFC, so that's Portland.
It is Portland Timbers. Not a lot of movement.
There's like nothing to say here.
You've got really one major move in the transfer for Juan David Mosquera from Independiente Medellin. And then they brought in a player from Timbers too as well. This team currently sits in 7th place with a bang even goal differential and 4 teams within 4 points of them of that last playoff spot. You feel they would have done something a little bit more.
I wish they did a little bit more, because if they did, I'd feel a lot more confident in them staying in a playoff spot. But right now, with the way their team is set up and where they sit in the standings, I still think they could definitely make the playoffs for sure. But I think it's going to be a bit tougher now, because Galaxy got a little bit better. Seattle obviously have a really good team on paper and could hit form at any time. So there's, especially because Galaxy have 3 games in hand on Portland. You and only 2 points behind you. You most likely have to assume Galaxy are going to jump them. In which case they're sitting out of the playoffs, and you're sitting out of the playoffs. You didn't improve the team at all. So I think they're just hoping they can run on some form. Which, listen, I mean that's what Portland. That's like one of the things Portland does best. They really know how to hit form at the right time. So
yeah,
but yeah, I'm gonna say loss for me for the window.
Yeah, it when Felipe Mora went down, I mean you got Niazgoda, who's the team's leading goal scorer. You've got Nathan Fogacha, I think that's how you pronounce that, who has come in and filled okay. You got a little bit of right back depth. The goalkeeper has been very strong. The center backs are, I mean, they played a lot of time with center backs 4 and 5. The team's getting older. It's kind of a wash for me. Like I said, I'm a big fan of their goalkeeper, of course, Ivacic. I think he's having a great year. You would have thought they would have tried to go out and get somebody to give you a little bit more depth, but I'm also going to say loss. I think it was probably something that needed to happen uh, with a little bit more urgency.
Kind of concerned for this team.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of their key players are getting up there in age, like Diego Chara, Sebastian Blanco, Yimi Chara, uh, Mabiala. Like they're pretty up there in age at this point. Like I don't know how much more you're going to be getting out of these guys, and I don't see like the next crop of guys coming through. That's like, okay, even though these guys are getting old, like the new regime is going to like bounce back quickly.
yeah. No, like it's not like you've got another couple of players coming in to fill that role. Absolutely, it's yeah. We're gonna do our predictions for the playoff run over the next couple of weeks here, and I think we'll be having a lot to say about this Portland Timbers team.
Who's
Brendan
next?
Aaron, go ahead.
Huh?
What were we gonna say?
I said, who's next?
Oh, I was gonna say next up is Brendan Aronson's Stan account.
Philadelphia Union.
The Philadelphia Union. In comes Julian Carranza from Inter Miami, a great addition. Richard Odada from Red Star Belgrade. Abasa Armayao, and they absolutely snaked Red Bull by signing Jeremy Raffanello because MLS homegrown rules are out. Goes Jack DeVries to Venezia. Or Oravich was terminated. Sergio Santos traded to Cincinnati. Stuart Finley sent back to Oxford United in the 4th division of the English League. Is that correct? You're an Ox.
Third or fourth, something like that. I think a third, actually.
You're an Ox fan, aren't you?
Me? No.
I could have sworn you were. Yeah, they're Football League One.
I'm not an Ox fan.
I thought you were an Ox supporter.
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I have like a League One or League Two side.
Anyways, um, Does it matter if it's a win or a loss? It doesn't matter who they sign. They're all going to find a way to fit the system and win every game 1-0.
Whoa! Don't disrespect. They just won like 7-0.
All right, they're going to beat every game team 1-0 except for DC United, who they're going to beat 7.
They Philly has the best goal difference in the league.
Yeah, because they play the system so well. Their defense is
disgusting. But not every game is 1-0. Clearly, they have a 7-0 win against DC, a 6-0 win against Houston, a 4-1 win against Chicago. They've stomped a number of teams.
All right, so they're in the top of the league with the best record and the best points and the best this and the best that. They've added 2 players who are probably going to be. I just looked them up. One of them is 21 years old. The other is 18, which means they're going to be filtered in 2 years. Whenever other one of their 17-year-olds gets sold, they sent away Sergio Santos and Stuart Finley to clear some room. It's a win. Is that cool? Are we happy?
Yeah, I mean, as long as they didn't sell anybody major, this was going to be a win. They didn't have to change anything. They got Carranza, who's like arguably the best transfer of the year. And I think they got really good money for Sergio Santos. To me, it's absolutely a win of a window.
Great. It's a win for a team that's going to continue to win for the next half decade. Congratulations.
They have the system that Rebel wished they had.
Quiet down. All right, next up, pause. All right, next up, every Euro snob's favorite team.
LAFC?
LAFC, baby. What else do we need to say about this? Massive dub.
Obviously.
They've recreated. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. They've rewritten the way that teams can spend. Chiellini, Bale, Vela's re-signed, Sebastian Mendes from Orlando, Dennis Bouanga from Saint Etienne, and Christian Teo from Betis. Sent out Daniil Henry, Francisco Janela, Danny Masowski, Ismail Cesare Shroudi, Brian Rodriguez for $6 million, and Mamadou Fall went out on loan to Villarreal. They basically just did a full overhaul and said, we're going to find a way to convince people to come in for, TAM deals or whatever and be successful. Now, granted, they're not being successful right now, but
just one game. They are being successful.
Yeah, whenever they're Gareth Bale and Chiellini don't play. I gotta take a look, but it seems like every time they win, Chiellini and Bale are on load restriction and everybody else is playing.
That's what happens when you have Chiellini came off the bench against Austin, in fairness.
Yeah. My worry is that this is a lot of movement for a team that needs some sort of stability going into the playoffs. They've already clinched their spot, of course. However, you're putting a bunch of forwards in a group and just saying, go figure it out. I mean, I'm sure Stevie C has an idea of what he's doing and how to make it work. But again, we talked about how he has so many options. He might leave one of the better ones on the bench at the wrong time and get hurt. It's obviously a win, right? We're only judging the transfer window. Obviously, this is a win. But it does beg the question of, will they get caught by somebody like Austin, who have, added one good piece and still have a really good system, instead of a team like LAFC, who have basically just revamped the whole thing midway through the year to see what happens.
We already know they're gonna do it the LAFC way. They're gonna win the Supporters Shield, set the points record, go into the playoffs, and lose first or second round. That's just how that's how it is. That's how MLS playoffs work.
I guess. Again, to keep it very simple, it's a win, but mm-hmm. there are questions to be raised. That being said, they got better now, and they also have increased their ability to be good over the next couple of years, right? Bouanga, at 27 years old, still has some years in him to be successful. Mendes was always one of the better defensive mids in the Orlando group. I mean, you're looking, Bale and Chiellini won't be long-term guys, but
no, you have Teo as well.
Yes, Christian Teo might also fit into that same thing of a win now type of mindset. And Christian Aranjo still around. Somehow they made that all work. So it's a win.
Yeah, it's a win. Obviously, it's a win.
All right. Red Bull 2.
Red Bull 2.
Oh, come on.
FCC?
Nope. Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
2 players in, Shaq Moore and Jacob Schaffelberg. 0 players out for a team that is sitting in 6th place, 2 points ahead of the team in 8th, which is the LA Galaxy. Plus 2 goal differential. A team that we thought was going to be much, much better this year. What do you think?
I think I really like the signing of Shaq Moore. I think that perfectly fills in the right back spot and makes that back line very formidable. I still don't think that this team is going to compete with an LAFC or Austin. I think this team on paper is absolutely strong enough to make the playoffs. And I guess potentially go on a playoff run because anything can happen in the playoffs. But I don't think this is certainly not the best team in the league. They're not competing for supporter shields. So I guess it depends on what you're looking at as a fan. What do you want them to accomplish? Do you want them to just make the playoffs every year and potentially win the cup? Do you want them to be the best team in the league competing for supporter shields and points records? I think overall, I would say it's a win. I think the team is still strong on paper. Hani Mukhtar is a borderline MVP every season now. There's still a lot of good players around him in the team. I just don't know if I see this team as gonna compete for a supporter shield against the Phillies, LAFCs, Austins of the league.
The biggest issue that wasn't addressed. Hani Mukhtar. I think is this just goals? It might just be goals. Hold on. It is, yeah, we'll say these are goals. Hani Mukhtar, does he have 19 goals? No, he can't. That has to be goal contributions.
Yeah, there's no way he's got 19.
No shot. So Hani Mukhtar's got 19 goal contributions.
He's got 16 goals, 9 assists this season.
Then I don't know what. Oh, Transfermarkt doesn't count the second assist. Okay, 16 goals, 9 assists. Yeah. CJ Sapong's got a lot less than that. Teal Bunbury's got even less than that. Then their next 2 highest in terms of contributions are their 2 center backs, and then Alex Mawila, and then Sean Davis. Randall Leal's got 1 goal contribution in 1,800 minutes. You had to have done something to address that. You had to. If you want to compete with the teams that are spending the way that they're spending, you had to address that in this window. Right now, it looks like their mindset is let's get into the playoffs and roll the dice. Again, just from an outside point of view. However, if you want to compete with the really, you're trying to compete with the Dallas, Minnesota, RSL. Nobody's catching LAFC. Nobody's catching, right? You have to compete with those guys to get a home playoff game. And to do that, you had to bring somebody. You had to. And they did. I don't know what they were looking to do in terms of if they missed out on anybody, for example. But listen, the addition of Moore is great. We know what he brings. We know that he's on the bubble of the men's national team for Qatar. But you needed to do something when you've got one player who's contributing to basically half of your goals, and everything else is actually more than half of your goals, and everything else is just kind of onesie twosies here and there. You had to find another consistent. So it's a loss for good move in Shaq Moore, but it's a loss for.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. I think you're right. Imagine this team just sticking a lethal goal scorer. Then I think you're talking about them probably somewhere in between that Dallas Minnesota group and the Austin LAFC group.
Correct.
Yeah, I think they're like a step below that Dallas Minnesota group right now. But they're close. They're close. So they need that goal scorer, and then I think they're there.
Yep. All right. Into the busiest team in the offseason.
That's got to be DC.
Seattle. I'm being sarcastic because there's nothing to talk about for Seattle. They literally did not bring a single player in. They did not send a single player out. A team that is sitting in 10th place right now with an even goal differential at 36 and 36. You know, you would think a team like this who has been so successful in finding that gem in the secondary transfer window to give them that extra boost, who have sat there and watched Cucho Hernandez come in and blow the league up. You would have thought that this would have been their cue to say, okay, it's time to do it again. And they didn't. And it kind of worries me a little bit because you wonder what their intentions are in their 2 wins in their last 7, 4 losses. There's got to be and they just lost their best player for probably close to the rest of the season. Christian Roldan's gone out with long-term injury. Nico Ladero still in there. Rui Diaz with 6 goals. Jordan Morris with 7. Your 4th leading goal scorer is gone. He is also joint 3rd in goal contributions total. Albert Rusnak's been bang average from the deeper center mid role. You just thought they would have done something a bit more go get him. You know, Yamar has been okay. They've been playing with Jackson Reagan at center back. Maybe that would have been the place to go to shore up the back line a little bit. Rusnak playing as a pure defensive mid most of the time feels a little bit right? As a guy who is so good playing in the attacking phase in Salt Lake. Christian Roldan, you now don't have really an attacking right-sided player with him being out. So you're going to lean on Leo Chu or Jimmy Dronda. Just there were definitely holes to fill here, and you would have thought they would have tried to do something. So this is a loss.
Yeah, they've been going through some injury troubles, is what it looks like. Is Roldan's out, like you said. Joao Paulo's hurt. Obed Vargas is hurt. Pretty sure Rui Diaz was hurt at some point this year. So I think that's definitely not helped the cause. I just don't know, like, what exactly are they able to add at this point in the game? Like, do they have the TAM GAM to sign someone else? I don't know if they have. I would imagine they don't have any DP spots open. Like, I know that they've been going through some injury troubles, but I also don't know what they could bring in at this point, like money wise. This team is loaded with talent. Like, there's a lot of good players on this team. And I still think the quality is there to make a playoff push. I mean, they're not sitting far out. They're 1 win from Portland right now.
Yeah, they're close, but again, you would have thought they would have tried to push and get into that area where Minnesota is, right? That's kind of their bread and butter.
I mean, this team on paper should be where the Austin and LAFCs are.
Yeah.
Well, when they signed Rusnak, we were all like, "Oh my god, how could this team that was already super good, how did they get better?"
Sometimes
it just hasn't clicked.
Sometimes when you put too many eggs in the basket, you find issues.
I still trust that Brian Schmetzer will be able to find a way to make this team work, despite all the injuries that they've been having. I think someone will step up. They will be able to make that playoff push. But I also kind of agree with you. I think with how many injuries they've had in the midfield, it would have been nice to just bring in somebody. You didn't have to bring in someone huge. Bring in some MLS vet that can just fill the role. He doesn't need to be a game changer, just someone who's going to give you good minutes and get you to that finish line, and then hope Roldan or whoever gets healthy by playoffs. So I will agree with you, and I think they should have done a little bit more to just kind of like this is a situation where you can put the band-aid on the cut and it will be okay. In my opinion.
Interesting. Yeah. Again, it's just now, and I've been reading that they do have something in the works. I think the official close is about a week away, the 5th, from some other moves. So I think there might be something that's still going on, but yeah, would have liked to see a bit more. Moving on, the last Canadian team we haven't talked about.
Vancouver.
A little bit of Vancouver communications. Julian Gressel, brought in from DC United. Alessandro Schopf brought in, a midfielder that will slide directly into that starting 11. Damiano Pestile transferred to Venezia, aka MLS FC. Simon Cloyne over to PSV. He was out on loan there this season. Eric Godoy has been waived to make room for that Alessandro Schopf transfer. And Chao Alexander on loan back to the second division of Italy. We'll see if he ever comes back. We'll talk about a bust later. Big win for here. Good money going out with Cloyne and Pacile. Julian Gressel, the best wingback in the league over the last 8 years. Goodness me. Has it been 8 years already?
There's no way. That would mean he was around in 2014. I don't even think Atlanta was around in 2014.
That's right. Atlanta was his first year.
Yeah. Atlanta got him in the draft, I think.
Yeah, no, the reason why I thought that was because he's 28. He's an older player, so I thought that would have made sense. No, his 2017 was his first actual season. So 5 years, excuse me.
I feel like that was a little disrespectful for you to call him an older player. He's 28 years old.
Oh my God, in 2 years, you're going to be talking about him being on the wrong side of 30. Don't start with me.
We're like 3 years younger than him. He's not old.
I call myself old every single day.
He's in his prime. Julian, if you're listening, I'm sorry for him. He is out of pocket for that comment.
Hit up Z Football Pod.
No, they're not going to want anything to do with this anymore because you call Julian old.
The other really cool addition here, Alejandro Schopf is an Austrian center mid coming over from. He's an Austrian international. He's been playing with their team since 2016. And he's coming over from Armenia Byfield, where they sent George Bello. He will slide directly in that midfield and be a great addition for them. They got money coming out from those big transfers. They got Chao Alexander off the books for a little bit at least. This is a great window for Vancouver. They've set themselves up long term to be successful. Excited for what they can do next year. But this definitely is a window of. Actually, let me rephrase that. They're way closer to the playoff line than I thought. This could be a push to get them in right now.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that a little bit. I thought they were a little bit closer to Houston, but no, they're one game out of the playoffs right now. This could be their big push. I love it. Absolutely here for it.
Which is wild because their goal difference is the second worst in the West. They're sitting ninth.
Well,
almost in the playoffs.
Listen, San Jose a couple of years ago made the playoffs with like the worst.
Yeah, that's true. So, that's true.
I think it was 2019 that they made it.
No. I know what you're talking about. They conceded like 70 goals in the season.
I'll find it. Hold on. You keep talking. I'll find it.
I definitely agree with you. This is a win of a window. They are like just on that cusp of the playoffs, and I think bringing in Gressel and Schopf should definitely help to push them over the line. Whether or not it will, I don't know, but was definitely a good move to at least try and make an effort to get in there. Whereas we see like Portland and Seattle doing nothing. I think Vancouver's making an attempt. So I'm on board with it. I like it. It's a win. for me.
San Jose made the 2020 playoffs when they were expanded with a minus 16 goal differential.
Yikes.
Yeah. And then 2017 they made it with a minus 21.
That's brutal.
Listen, football works in mysterious ways, my friend. But yeah, definitely a great window for Vancouver here. Really, really impressed with some of the signings that they made, and they're setting themselves up for stability going forward. It's a lot less in and outs and a few players who can be here for the long term. So I like that.
All right, let's go to the next one because we still have 4 teams left.
Yeah, the 2008 MLS frauds.
I don't know. I wasn't watching 2008 SKC.
No, Columbus, because they stole the MLS Cup from the New York Red Bulls.
This should be easy. This should
sent out Giassi Zardes, sent out Miguel Berry, sent out Alexandre Matan to clear space for Cooch.
Stop trying to purposely mess up his name. It's hard to do it. It's as straightforward as it.
Cucho Hernandez in from Watford, absolutely blowing the league up by storm. The guy who Connor said was not going to be very good.
Did I say that?
You probably did. Whenever I was hyping him up, and you're like, "Oh, let's wait and see. You never know."
I don't think I said that. I think you're just making it up to make me look bad.
Somebody play the clip. Massive dub. This is the type of move that they needed. They cleared space of some players who weren't getting the job done to bring in somebody who absolutely is getting the job done. Massive dub.
Yes, this is easily a win of a window for Columbus. This is what they needed. Zardes and Berry weren't like exactly that last piece of the puzzle for Columbus. I think Columbus is going to fly up the Eastern Conference standings at this point. Just watch.
Yeah, there's not much more to talk about there, right? They sent we all thought Berry was going to be the guy, and they sent him out the door.
Berry did not pan out. Like, out of those 3, Berry probably fared the worst out of all 3. Out of Zardes, Cucho, and Berry.
They did add a few players from their developmental team as well to give them some depth. But I mean, you can tell the second he stepped on the field that it is a flip flop of what this team was to what they are. So players like that make a difference in this league, and teams who are in that bubble, right? And we'll just go back really quickly to the standings. Teams like I'm still looking at 2017, right? So teams like Charlotte or Toronto who have done it, Chicago, Seattle, right? Those are the one man teams or one man transfers that can make a difference that people should be looking at.
Yep.
Massive dub. The greatest team in the face of the
earth.
FCC. In comes Matt Miazga. In comes Obana Nabuado, who we spoke about a little bit last time. In comes Sergio Santos, who we spoke about last time. And in comes Red Bull GOAT Evan Loro, backup goalkeeper. Gustavo Vallecilla sent to Colorado. Harris Medunjanin and Isaac Atong both. Medunjanin was basically waived, and Atong was sent on loan to Turkey, which is a very interesting one. Massive win. We talked about how important Matt Miazga was going to be for them in terms of shoring up that defensive spot. I know we talked about the Sergio Santos thing, and I know you weren't massive on that move, but it's good depth, right? Brenner and Vasquez are playing great together. One of those two goes down. You've got a guy with MLS experience on the bench ready to.
Yeah, but you already had that. You have Dominic Badji on the team.
Stop. Dominic Badji scores 4 goals a season. Stop.
You're talking about an MLS vet. Like,
Dominic Badji an MLS vet who knows how to win. Sergio Santos has how many supporter shields already?
1.
That's more than Don Badji.
That's not saying much. All I'm saying is you didn't need to spend $1 million TAM GAM to go get a backup to go get an MLS vet as a backup when you have one already.
You're right. Maybe it was an overpay, but I still like the move.
I think I'm just not a big Sergio Santos fan.
I think you're a hater. Dom Badji, nothing. No titles whatsoever.
Okay.
Sergio Santos.
Sergio Santos has not hit double-digit goals in a season in his career.
Congratulations. Do you want a cookie?
Just saying. You're talking about Dom Badji like, oh, Dom Badji's terrible.
He scores important goals.
Does he?
Yeah.
Does he?
He does. I'm done with you.
Does he?
I don't like you.
Yes, this is a win of a window. Let's just move on.
Yes, Miazga was a great move, and I'm reading here. This is actually a pretty good point from our good friend Matt Doyle. Chris Albright actually made $325,000 in allocation money just throughout the year by trading slots and positions and stuff. He's a trading master.
He's a guru. He's been playing FIFA. He knows how to work the markets.
Yeah, massive. So, it's a win. Big ups FCC. Get into the playoffs for the love of all things that are great, because I need some FCC playoffs in my life.
It's going to be tough, but we'll see if they can do it.
See if they can get a push. All right, the worst team in the league.
The real one.
We already did NYC. We already did Atlanta. So who's
that? Oh my God, you're the worst. Yes, DC
United went to Rome to see the. Sorry, no, I can't sing that. It's not. That has bad words in it. We're a friendly podcast. Lots of movement here for a new manager in Wayne Rooney, Rafael Romo, Mark Rodriguez, Guedry, Miguel Berry, Ravel Morrison, Victor Paulson, former Red Bull, David Ochoa, Snake, and Christian Benteke from Crystal Palace. Out goes Eddie Flores. Out goes Griffin Yao. Out goes Julian Gressel. Out goes Michael Estrada. Lots of movement here. I got to give it a win. I think that they are building a team around certain players that Mr. Rooney can play with, can build off. So I like it. I don't know if we can call it like an outright win, because we still have a ton of work to do. I mean, they're still terrible, and they really haven't done a ton to address your defensive issues. My friends who are minus 27 goal differential right now. So they've added 2 strikers, a winger, a center mid who's currently playing as a 6, a proper number 6 who can play as a center back, and a goal. You need some center backs desperately, but I like it. I think they've had a decent window.
I don't think the window's been really great, but I think the bar is so low that I do have to call it a win.
Correct. That's exactly where I'm at.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they're backing Wayne. Like they're bringing in guys that he wants to have, like Ravel Morrison. So I'm happy about that. I think Benteke can actually do well in this league. Like I know he struggled a lot like in recent years in the Prem, but he had flashes where he was like on top of the world. And I really think he can find that form again here. And if he does, him and Taxi Fontas can be a really formidable duo up top. Like that is a duo that can like be high on the scoring charts in the league.
Yeah, sure.
But I agree with you. I think defensively, there's a lot of question marks. A lot of guys that they brought in are not on the younger side. It almost feels like they're going for a win now, which is going to be tricky when you're like revamping the whole team. Like, I got to give it to Inter Miami. I feel like they did a good job with rebuilding that team. I think they revamped it. It was a lot of younger guys. So it was like, okay, our expectations are low. Obviously, they've overplayed what their expectations were. But I feel like if you go for a win now, you're setting your expectations higher, and there's more pressure to perform now. And with bringing in so many new faces, I'm a little bit worried about that. But like I said before, the bar is so low that I will call it a win, especially just bringing in like someone like Benteke. I really like the signing of Ochoa. So yes,
nobody likes that signing. Quiet down. Question.
Answer.
How much pressure is on Wayne Rooney to be successful early?
There's no pressure. There is no pressure because he's already a DC United legend, and MLS doesn't have relegation. So even if he flops, he will still be able to like win the league the next year. And I think because he is a club legend and because he has this huge name, they're gonna give him time. I think even if he doesn't hit the ground running, he will have time to build the team that he wants and be successful. And I think that's the right move. I am all in support of that because I think Rooney has shown in his little stint at Derby that he can be a very good coach. So back him, give him time. I think it will pan out.
I agree. Just wanted to get your 2 cents on it.
Cool.
The second worst team in the league, only other team to be minus or underneath 1 point per game this season.
There's one team left. Why are you even giving me hints?
Because I forget that you're looking at the same Google sheet that I am, and there's only one team left. So who is it?
Sporting Kansas City, the Wizards.
I was at Houston.
Oh, did we talk about Houston?
I'm just messing with you. It's Sporting KC.
Honestly, I forgot if we talked about Houston or not.
Got him. All right, I'll let you take it away. Start it off. We've got Eric. Sorry, let me tell you who they brought in, and I will let you share your thoughts first.
Okay.
Eric Tommy, we spoke about in our last episode, as well as William Agata. Spoke about in not our last episode, but our transfer roundup episode. And Nikola Vujnovic has been terminated to create some room. Share your thoughts.
I don't know, man. I don't really like it. I don't know what it is. I just don't like the makeup of this team right now. Like, obviously they're not playing well, so like clearly the makeup of the team is not working at the moment. I know there have been some injuries with like Polito and Gadi Kinda, and they brought in 2 players. I mean, I think they're really putting a lot of eggs in the basket that these guys are going to bounce back next year and like hit that form that they had 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was. I just don't think you're going to find that again. So I'm going to say it's a loss of a window. Even though the bar is low, like kind of like DC.
So here's what I'll say. William Agata and Eric Tommy have been here for 5 games. They each have 350 minutes played. William Agata's already got 5 goals and an assist. Eric Tommy's got 2 goals. This is a good window. They've done well to get pieces to build off of for next season. Their year is done. They're not getting back in the playoffs. There's no shot. They're setting themselves up for a complete rebuild. I'd be shocked if Johnny Russell's still around. Daniel Shalhoub, I think, stays around. But you're going to see new goalkeepers. Roger Espinosa's probably out the door. There's a lot of work that's about to be done on this team. But these are 2 very good points to work off of. William Agata at 22 is having a great start. Eric Tommy at 28 seems to be fitting in very nicely.
Yeah.
You also have to remember Gadi Kinda and Ala Polito both haven't played at all this year. So you're going to bring back 2 very, very good players, including one very, very good striker, and go for it again.
That's assuming Polito plays for them again. I mean, if Agata really hits the ground running,
yeah, you're right.
You might just bail on the Polito project.
You're right, and it gives you options, right? So you've got the Agata, you can go Polito, you can go 2 with Gadi Kinda behind them with Eric Tommy, going second, and Felipe Hernandez and Russell and Shalhoub if they're still around. With Cam Duke can still work in there. He's been okay. They got hit hard with injuries just like Atlanta did. It's not an excuse to be as bad as they actually are, but they are preparing themselves for a good comeback. I like this one. I'm going to give it a win.
Yeah, but what about the back line though? Like what is making you feel good about the back line?
Well, that's where their rebuild's going to do. They're going to go in, and that's the next step. I don't think this is a good start up top to get themselves scoring goals. I think they bring one or two more really strong defenders in. Right, you've got Ben Sweat and Graham Zusi. Graham Zusi, ageless. Dude'll play forever.
I mean, he'll play well forever.
Logan and Denbe has had a tough time. Ismail Marina's had a tough time. You've had players who we thought were going to be very good coming in, but they're also very young, right? Voladair was one of the players we talked about being a very good young signing that would slide into this back line. He's only played 600 minutes this year. There's a lot of potential in the squad if they can get to. I'm okay with what they're doing. I have hope for this team next year. But this year's over.
Yeah, this year's obviously over. I don't know. I'm still not sold on their project yet. Obviously, there is work still to be done, but I'm still concerned. But I mean, I guess by DC logic, I mean, it feels like it should be a win of a window because the bar is so low at the moment. I don't know.
I'm baffled that Peter Vermees is still here.
Yeah, me too.
But I wouldn't expect him to be around much longer if the next season starts off.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Next season starts off this way where he gets all of his players back and everything's rolling well. If he starts off the same way, he's got 40.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Win of a window for me. Let's go real quick. Best windows. Give me your top 3 best windows.
I mean, I'll hit the obvious two. Toronto and LAFC have obviously had the 2 strongest windows, I would say. And then who else would I throw in there? There's a few teams. I could see Austin being in there. I could see Inter Miami. Maybe New England. I think I'll go Inter Miami. I've actually liked Inter Miami's window.
Nice. I'm gonna obviously go with the 2, right? You got LAFC, Toronto, Columbus is in that mix as well. I think Inter Miami, of course, is in that mix. I'm gonna go with Vancouver though, because of the center mid stability, Julian Gressel, and they only really lost Eric Adore. He wasn't playing too much anyway. So, worst windows.
Montreal.
Okay.
Because they did pretty much nothing except bring in Chinonso for. I didn't love Colorado's window. Thinking maybe Chicago. Just double checking. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Didn't love Portland's. Didn't love San Jose's. I think I'll go with Chicago's.
That's your big loser?
No, I don't think they were the worst. I mean, they're like I would say my big loser. Oh man. I feel like Colorado was my big loser. Watching Shinyashiki move to Charlotte and like play super well, and like that Mark Anthony K trade was really bad for them, I feel like. And I don't think they really brought in the crop of players that I was as a if I were a Colorado fan, I would want to like see come in.
Interesting. Red Bull are in that mix for me, but that's more of a personal thing.
I think you're being harsh on them.
Chicago's in that mix for sure. Colorado, I think, was okay, so they're not super bad for me. Houston kind of was poor.
Yeah, Houston wasn't great either.
I'm not worried about Montreal as much as everybody else is. I think they'll be okay. I think if I had to pick, it'd be because Seattle hasn't done anything yet. I'll put Seattle in there. Seattle, Chicago, and Red Bull three. Not in that order. They'd be my.
You're being way too harsh on Red Bull. I know how you are because it's the same way I am with Atlanta, but I think you're being harsh on them. I mean, you guys lost nothing, and I feel like you gained a couple of pieces that could at least help out. But yeah, I was also kind of banking on I think Seattle will do something.
Yeah, so that's why I said right in that. Right,
Yeah,
Seattle will make a move
fair.
at some point, and I'll come back on and be like, okay, it's over. But right in that, that's my.
Okay. I would say then for me, I'd say Seattle, Chicago, and Colorado for me.
Gotcha.
Oh wait, no, I missed I wanted to add Montreal.
You did want to add Montreal.
I'll leave out Seattle then. I'll just assume that they're gonna bring in somebody.
All right.
No, you know what? I won't include Montreal. I won't include Montreal. No, I changed my mind.
Are you done? Are you done?
Final answer. I'm gonna go Montreal, Seattle, Colorado. That's what I'm gonna go with.
Thanks. I needed that. All righty. Thanks everybody for listening into episode 40. We are still going strong. We had a little bit of a blip there, but we are back and better than ever. Make sure you're following us wherever you get your podcasts so you know when we go live, you can listen to all of our episodes. Make sure you're following us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, so you can see when we post clips and you can watch clips of your favorite teams and all of our thoughts. And make sure you stick around for next episode, which will be something soccer related because we never know what's going to pop up, what sort of crazy MLS things are going to happen. So we will see you all and hear you all very, very soon. Peace.